Zambia, with a cage outside which there's a board which reads, "The world's most dangerous animal." And when you see inside the cage, you'll find a big mirror, where of course you can see a reflection. Yes, man is the most dangerous animal. He has become one. Don't you agree? How many of you sitting over here would agree to that? Wow, some people think they are not that interesting. So, good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests.
Good evening.
I have this habit of attending an event annually, which is called Turtle Walk. Some of you might know that there is this species of endangered turtles that comes and nests every year, in the starting months of every year, along the shores of east coast of India, specifically in Chennai as well. For those who are aware of it, I am glad that you read newspapers and you read about these turtles also. For others, I strongly urge that you sit with your kids whenever they tune into Nat Geo and try to learn something from them as well, because the turtles appeared in news today morning also. Yes, these turtles are the olive ridley turtles. They are an endangered species as per UN. And those who are aware about these turtles, they will also know that there is this organization called SSTCN, which stands for Student Sea Turtle Conservation Network. These volunteers, some of whom come from highly educated background, have a heart beating for these mute creatures that silently keep bearing all that we people have to put on them. They go about every month starting from January to March in the night, searching for the nests of these turtles. Now one might ask, why only olive ridley turtles? Well, every one olive ridley turtle can lay up to 200 eggs in one sitting. However, only 1 or 2 eggs out of those 200 eggs make it to adulthood. That's the statistics of an olive ridley turtle continuing its lineage. So these volunteers go about at 12 a.m. in the morning. They debrief about the turtles, the threats these turtles face, and then how we can try to protect the eggs laid by these turtles and try to make an impact and see to it that the eggs reach adulthood. So they start by searching for the nest. They take important data such as temperature, humidity, moisture content, the depth of the nest and the dimensions of the nest, so that they can replicate the nest elsewhere and try to save the eggs. Now one might ask, how will this end? Well, most of the eggs are gobbled up by scavengers and stray animals that can easily pick up on the scent of these turtles. That is how these volunteers try to be part of a bigger picture, trying to do their own bit. When they were debriefing about every threat that comes across their way, they told how new ports and new harbors were actually impacting these turtles and making an adverse impact on them. I dare not tell in front of them that here I stand, a proud employee of L&T Shipbuilding, a company that builds new ports, new harbors, new ships, while actually turning a blind eye towards these sorry creatures. And see the irony in that. The person who is almost directly responsible for killing these turtles had come for a turtle conservation walk. I slowly started prodding along with other volunteers, not able to open my mouth. And soon we had our first success. We all made a dash towards a big black object that someone told that was a turtle. And it was the first of that night to be found, and this turtle was dead. The volunteers told, seeing the turtle, that the turtle might have died because it got entangled in some fishing net. Because the turtle's flipper was severed, I slowly started moving away from that place and started dreaming in another direction, as if to overlook what I had just seen. We humans have this habit, to overlook and ignore whenever a mistake confronts us. But ideally speaking, we should learn whatever experience we can learn from that, but try to forget the hurt that we had from that. So much so for us being humans. We started at 12 a.m. in the morning and we went walking, and after this first turtle, we had managed to find 14 more turtles. So we started at 12 a.m. in the morning, and all the way till 4 a.m. we had managed to find 15 turtles. And trust me, all the 15 turtles were dead. Each and every one of them dead, dead, dead. Some of them were even crushed, probably because they had dashed against a fishing boat and the shell was cracked wide open. At 4 a.m. in the morning, I had 15 dead turtles in front of me and a population of over 1 billion people sleeping peacefully behind me, ignorant of the massacre that was going on at the beach. I started thinking, was it really essential to make a living by killing these turtles somewhere down the line? Was it mere coincidence that all the turtles that we found that night were dead? 15 turtles dead. and they had somehow made it to adulthood, fighting the odds of nature. And they had died when they had come to lay their eggs on the seashore. Was creating ships or building ships a marvel, or seeing these turtles hatch and seeing these small palm-sized creatures make their way slowly towards the beach a marvel? Let's see how it feels to see a turtle hatch. There are some 200 odd turtles in that nest and they are coming out. I mean, that's when they're hatching and people are trying to help. This is one of the videos where the volunteers is trying to help them out. I came back home early in the morning pondering if it was really worth it to work in this company and crush this turtle somewhere. And it is not just the humans who are actually, impacting nature and going ahead. Humans are impacting other humans also inconsiderably. Let's see another example of that. On a sunset afternoon, Sanjay Gope crawls across a dusty courtyard of a low-slung mud house that he shares with 10 other members of his family. His grandfather, Devanand Gope, watches glumly as his son crawls, one feet after another, digging into the dirt. Sanjay could move normally as a toddler, till all the seizures began to rip the life out of his arms and legs. Today, when he is not able to be helped by any of his family members, he crawls on the ground, just like a snake, his grandfather says. His elder sister Sunita had experienced a similar collapse. Her lips and arms had grown so deformed that she could not feed herself or bathe herself. That was till she died a couple of years ago at the age of 13. Across the house that goes by Sanjay's house, there is another tribe, another person called Rakesh Gope, who is not related to Sanjay, who sits in a dusty courtyard again. He is a slight boy with light brown eyes. He attempts to wave at us, but then his arms only flap in a spastic flurry. He is another 10-year-old boy who is unable to walk on his own. There are several children like this in this village and the nearby villages, and people they don't have a clue about why it is happening. Only that such children are all too easy to find. Sanjay's grandfather, a 70-year-old man, bare-chested and barefoot, suggests one opinion as to why this could be happening. Until the mines opened nearby, children did not crawl in the sand and die. The villagers suffer from conventional health problems, and this situation is very similar in another village where there is similar socio-economic background, says Mahindra Mathur, who is the Joint Secretary of Jharkhand Pollution Control Board, citing a 2010 to 2012 survey. And this is not an ordinary village. This village is situated near Jadagoda uranium mine in Jharkhand, which is enough to say that it is not mere coincidence that a lot of children are dying over there because of spastism. This brings us to the billion-dollar question. Are humans really eligible to be called as humans? I see a lot of humans, but there is no humanity. I once saw this wonderful movie called Matrix, in which the machines define the humans like this. Humans are like a disease, a virus. They live off a host and consume every resource of that host until there is only one option left: to move on to another host when this host dies. Ain't we been living like that? Have not all the on humans being living like that? Let us not be a virus and try to sustain what we have inherited so that we can truly be called humans. Over to the Toastmasters.